Does anybody remember the show Cops? It was a show about a bunch of police officers who were stopping various crimes around parts of the United States. It was a pretty great show, I'll admit. I think you all probably know that due to my introduction that, like many other shows, there's an episode of Cops that only aired once before being pulled from syndication. I got word from TNN that used to broadcast reruns of the show that it was pulled because of the producers felt that it didn't fit with the rest of the show's theme and tone. The episode featured the normal intro. For all intents and purposes, it seems like a normal episode of Cops. Two officers whose names aren't given are shown riding in a standard police vehicle. What's also strange is that the location is never given. Depending on the season of Cops you watch, you would see details regarding who the police officers were, where they were, and what the perpetrators were up to. The episode just starts with a Steadicam affixed to the front windshield. The cops are shown driving down a hallway late at night. Evidently, they got a call and were responding to claims of vandalism on a particular turn at the highway. You heard the officer making a bit of small talk, but none of them seemed to see anything. One of them says something along the lines of, "Who would bother to try and vandalize this road? About 5 people drive down it here a day." After about 60 seconds of driving, you simply hear, "Oh," and the explosive sound as the police get out of the vehicle. The video cuts to the cameraman getting out to follow the two officers, but he's slowed and hides behind the car without capturing much of the footage. You see a strange bird-looking thing with wings fly just a verse to the camera and then loop up high in the air. "What the hell was that?" one of the policemen yells. One of them remarks that they see something red floating just 2 feet above the speed limit sign. The officers get back to their car without talking. You can hear one of them is struggling to start the vehicle, and they immediately barrel around the corner, swerving to avoid a tire that's found laying in the road. "Did it go that way?" one of them says. You hear, "Wait," and the officer's name is said, although it's very muffled. It sounded like Jack or Jake or someone like that. The cameraman pans to show that the road sign is marked with a large occult symbol that's sprayed on the front with the green road sign. The red paint appears to be fresh, and some of it is shown in dripping. It looks like a large hexagon with 6 strange characters. One of the officers gets on his phone and demands to know who fielded this call, but there's no answer. The cops are shown inspecting the perimeter, and one of them seems visibly nervous by trying to control the situation. He shines a light on the poles surrounding the sign. We get a lot of vandalism from teens. He stops abruptly as he touches the fresh red liquid on the sign. He seems really nervous now. "That's not paint." There's a long pause. The cameraman retreats towards the vehicle. "Take a look at this," one of them says. He signals for the other officer to come over, and they seem to be inspecting something. It's hard to see what's going on because the cameraman has the camera pointed at the floor. It appears near the cop car that something ripped at the pavement or burned it. A slow, loud hiss is heard. It sounds somewhat like a rattlesnake. The two cops look out at the distance. "What is that? What is that?" one of them keeps repeating. And at this point, the video has been running for about 7 minutes, and there's a pause for a commercial break, but the scene cuts right back to them inspecting the grass without a pause. "Something happened over there," one of them says. "It looks like a trail. It leads..." The cop doubles back, and one of them runs behind the car and draws his gun. The camera cuts to a goat whose throat has been slit and allowed to bleed out. The long trail of blood leads into the pavement and stops a few feet from the sign. The visuals are so dark that you could see the light reflecting the goat's eyes, but it's clear what's going on here. One of them radios in. "We have a 1095, murdered livestock, unknown suspect." He's abruptly cut off as the hissing grows louder and thicker. You hear the cops start to yell as the cameraman darts into the vehicle. The police jump behind the car and draw their guns. It's impossible to tell what's going on at this point as the camera is pointed to the floor. You hear one of the cops squeal violently as the cameraman's leg is shown. He is seen to be trying to hide at the bottom of the seat. "This is police officer responding to a 1039. Officer down! Officer down!" The officer immediately gets into the front seat and starts driving. You hear the other officer continuing to squeal as the officer backs up and prepares to drive further down the highway. The car slams into the side of another car that appears abandoned with a cracked windshield. You just hear one of them yelling, "It's burning me!" and the sound of crying mixed with squealing. The police officer's radio doesn't appear to be working. He hears the hissing noise coming out of the radio mixed with static. He slams the radio down and reverses the car. It seems to be sliding down the end with a curved road into a steep drop. You see the camera point up towards the side of the slope with the bushes leading up to the road. The cameraman may or may not be conscious at this point. You hear his seatbelt unlatch, and it seems as though the officer is getting out of the car. The cop starts to yell, "He's in the trees! He's in the trees!" It's hard to tell what he's trying to say. You hear the sounds of something snapping, and there are several blind gunshots fired. The hissing grows louder and louder as the video fades to dead air. The mumbling words, "I see him," are cut off by the loud hissing and the sight of a pale red light emanating against the trees. The screen sort of starts to fade out now, though at a third opacity, until you see and hear nothing but static and the hissing. What is strange is that after 3 minutes of dead air, you see the viewer discretion disclaimer tacked onto the ending. I'm not stating whether or not the video is real or a hoax, but it was filmed like a legitimate Cops episode. The only thing that struck me as inconsistent was that the officer responded to a 1039 and the police phone call. In police code, that means that the police officer is supposed to use his light or siren. It's possible that the police officer misspoken, but it's certainly also possible that he didn't.